The Nexus station floated in the darkness between three star systems. It was the largest structure ever built by the Galactic Council. Millions of beings lived and worked inside its spinning rings. Today, the station was busier than usual. Ships arrived from every corner of the galaxy. They came for the Apex display. Captain Yun Taiho stood at the window of the human delegation's quarters. He watched a massive Vel-3 warship dock at the station. The ship was black and covered with sharp angles. It looked like a weapon itself. Somewhere inside that ship was a creature that could kill without effort. "The Vel-3 brought their acid serpent again," said Dr. Park Yunbai. She stood beside him, reading from her tablet. 12 meters long. Can spit acid that burns through metal in seconds. Taeho nodded slowly. He already knew about the serpent. He knew about all of them. The Dramond were bringing their shadow hunter, a 6-legged beast that could turn invisible. The Kalori were presenting their psychic predator, a creature that could make other beings feel terror, so strong that their hearts stopped. Every species brought their apex predator to the Galactic Council once a year. It was a tradition that had lasted for centuries. The purpose was simple: show the galaxy what your world could create. Prove that your species was strong enough to survive beside such monsters. Earth had been a council member for only 3 years. This was their first time participating in the Apex display. Taeho had spent months preparing. In the cargo hold of their ship sat a containment unit holding a 5-meter saltwater crocodile. The beast was old, scarred, and very angry. It was perfect. "Daddy?" Taeho turned around. His daughter Hana stood in the doorway. She was 3 years old, with round cheeks and messy hair. She wore a yellow dress and held a stuffed rabbit by its ear. "Hana, why are you awake?" Taeho walked to her and knelt down. "It is late. You should be sleeping." "I had a bad dream," Hana said. Her bottom lip pushed out. Tae-Ho picked her up and held her against his chest. He had not planned to bring Hana on this mission, but his wife was a doctor on Mars colony, and the emergency had come too suddenly. There was no one to watch Hana, so she came along. "Everything is fine," Taeho said softly. "Go back to sleep." He carried her to the small bedroom and laid her in the bed. He pulled the blanket up to her chin. She closed her eyes, and within minutes, she was breathing slowly. Taeho returned to the main room. Dr. Park was frowning at her tablet. "Captain," she said, "we have a problem." Taeho felt his stomach tighten. "What kind of problem?" "The containment unit. There was a power failure during the jump." She looked up at him. Her face was pale. "The crocodile is dead." For a long moment, Taeho could not speak. He stared at her. The words did not make sense. They could not make sense. "Dead," he repeated. "The temperature controls failed. The cold killed it." Dr. Park set down her tablet. "I am sorry, Captain. There is nothing we can do." Taeho walked to the window again. Outside, more ships were arriving. The Drummond vessel was long and thin like a needle. The Kalori ship glowed with soft blue light. Every species was bringing their most dangerous creature. And Earth had nothing. "If we arrive empty-handed," Taeho said quietly, "they will see us as weak. I know. We have spent 3 years building relationships, proving that humans belong in the council." Taeho pressed his hand against the cold glass. This could destroy everything. Dr. Park was silent for a moment. Then she spoke carefully. "There might be another option." "What option?" "We cannot find another crocodile out here." "No, but the rules do not say the predator must be an animal." Dr. Park walked closer to him. "The rules say each species must present their apex predator, the most dangerous thing their world has created." Taeho turned to look at her. "What are you saying?" Dr. Park glanced toward the bedroom door, toward where Hana was sleeping. No, Tejo said immediately. Absolutely not. Captain, listen to me. Human children are unlike any other young in the galaxy. Their emotional range is extreme. Their physical resilience is remarkable. They can produce sounds that damage hearing. They can run longer than most adult animals of other species. Dr. Park stepped closer. And they are completely unpredictable. She is my daughter, not a display animal. I'm not saying we put her in a cage. I am saying we present her. Let the council see what human offspring are capable of. Dr. Park's voice was calm and serious. Think about it. What is more terrifying than a creature that even its own species cannot fully control? Tejo shook his head, but his mind was racing. He knew Dr. Park was right about human children. He had raised Hannah for 3 years. He knew exactly how loud she could scream. He knew how fast she could run when she did not want to take a bath. He knew the chaos she could create when she was tired or hungry or simply bored. But using his daughter as a display? The other species will laugh at us, he said. Maybe, at first. Dr. Park picked up her tablet again. But the Apex display is not just about showing monsters. It is about showing what your world can produce. What evolution created on your planet. She looked at him steadily. Humans are apex predators, Captain. We hunted every other species on Earth to extinction or submission. And we did it while raising children like Hannah. Tejo looked at the bedroom door. Inside, his daughter was sleeping peacefully. She looked small and harmless. She looked like the most innocent thing in the galaxy. But Tejo remembered last week. Hannah had been tired and hungry at the same time. She had screamed for 45 minutes without stopping. She had thrown her food. She had kicked him in the face. She had run away so fast that 2 crew members could not catch her dot, and through all of it, Tejo had remained calm. He had cleaned up the mess. He had caught her. He had held her until she finally fell asleep in his arms. That was what humans did. They survived their children. They loved them anyway. The display is tomorrow morning, Dr. Park said. We need to decide tonight. Tejo closed his eyes. He thought about Earth. He thought about all the work humans had done to earn respect in the galaxy. He thought about what would happen if they failed now. Then he thought about Hannah, 3 years old. Stubborn and loud and full of energy. The most difficult and wonderful thing he had ever known. Fine, he said quietly. We will present her. Dr. Park nodded. She did not smile. She knew this was not a happy decision. It was a desperate one. I will prepare the documentation, she said. The council will have questions. Let them ask. Tejo opened his eyes. And Dr. Park? Make sure Hannah does not get a full night of sleep. Wake her early. Do not give her breakfast until after the display. Dr. Park raised her eyebrows. You want her to be cranky? Tejo finally smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of a father who knew exactly what his daughter was capable of. I want them to see a real human child, he said. Not the happy version. Tomorrow, the galaxy would learn why humans were the true apex predators of Earth. Not because of their strength or speed or claws, but because they could create something so chaotic, so demanding, so completely unreasonable, and still love it with all their hearts. Tomorrow, the galaxy would meet Hannah. The Grand Display Arena was enormous. It was built like a circle with rising seats all around. Thousands of beings sat in those seats, watching the floor below. The air smelled strange, a mix of many different atmospheres kept separate by invisible energy fields. Captain Yoon Tae-ho walked onto the arena floor. He held Hannah's hand. She walked beside him slowly, rubbing her eyes with her free hand. She had slept only 4 hours. She had not eaten breakfast. Her hair was messy, and she still wore her yellow dress from yesterday. Daddy, I am hungry. Haya said. I know, baby. Soon. Dr. Park Yumbai walked behind them. She carried a tablet and tried to look confident. But Taeho could see the worry in her eyes. They were about to do something no species had ever tried before. The arena floor was divided into sections. Each section had a containment field. Inside each field was a predator. The Veltri section was closest. Behind the shimmering energy wall, the acid serpent coiled and hissed. It was black and green, with scales that looked like wet stone. Its mouth opened, showing fangs that dripped with yellow liquid. The acid burned small holes in the floor. Hannah looked at the serpent. Snake, she said. Yes, Taeho said. A very big snake. I do not like it. That is okay. They walked past the Drawman section. The shadow hunter was harder to see. It flickered in and out of visibility, a six-legged shape with too many joints. Its eyes glowed red in the moments when it became solid. It made no sound, which somehow made it worse. The Kalori section held the psychic predator. It looked like a floating brain with tentacles. It pulsed with soft light. Taeho felt a pressure in his head as they walked past. Fear tried to creep into his mind. But he had felt fear before. He pushed it away. Hannah squeezed his hand tighter. Daddy, my head hurts. Do not look at it. Keep walking. They reached the human section. It was empty. No containment field. No cage. Just an open space with a small chair. Ambassador Vrek of the Veltri was already laughing. He stood at the edge of the arena floor with other diplomats. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. His mouth was wide, and his teeth were sharp. The humans brought nothing, Vrek said loudly. Look at this. They have an empty display. Perhaps their predator was too weak to survive the journey. Other aliens laughed. The sound was strange, a mix of clicks and whistles and rumbles. But the meaning was clear. They were mocking humanity. Taeho kept his face calm. He led Hannah to the small chair and helped her sit down. Stay here for a moment, he said. I need to talk to some people. I want breakfast, Hannah said. Her voice was getting louder. Soon, I promise. Taeho walked to the center of the arena floor. A floating platform carried him upward so everyone could see him. His voice was amplified by the station systems. Honored members of the Galactic Council, Taeho said. Earth presents its apex predator. He gestured toward Hannah. The arena went silent. Then the laughter started again. Louder this time. A child? Ambassador Vrek stepped forward. You insult this tradition. You insult every species here. A human child is not a predator. It is prey. With respect, Ambassador, you do not understand human biology. Taeho kept his voice steady. Human children are unlike any other young in the galaxy. They require more care, more energy, and more patience than any other offspring. They can scream at frequencies that cause physical pain. They can run without stopping for extended periods. They are immune to reason and logic. This is ridiculous, Rex said. A Kalori diplomat stepped forward. Taeho recognized him from the briefing files. His name was Malik, and he was a historian who studied primitive species. I am curious, Malik said. His voice was soft and calm. You say human children are different. In what way? Taeho nodded. At least one alien was willing to listen. Human children undergo a development period that lasts nearly 20 of our years, Taeho explained. During this time, they are completely dependent on adult humans. They cannot feed themselves. They cannot protect themselves. They require constant supervision. That sounds like weakness, not strength, Rex said. Let me finish. Taeho looked at the crowd. During the first 3 to 4 years, human children experience something we call the developmental chaos period. Their emotions are extreme. They can shift from joy to rage in seconds. They can produce screams loud enough to damage hearing. They refuse to eat, sleep, or cooperate. And they do this multiple times every single day. The arena was quieter now. Some aliens were starting to look interested. And yet, Tejo continued, human adults survive this. They continue to function. They go to work. They maintain relationships. They raise multiple children at the same time. He paused. We do not break. We adapt. Malik was writing notes on a small device. Fascinating. But how does this make the child a predator? Before Tejo could answer, a voice cut through the arena. Daddy. It was Hannah. She had climbed off the chair. She stood in the middle of the human section with her hands on her hips. Her face was red. Her eyes were wet. I want breakfast. Now, a voice echoed through the arena. Several species flinched. The Velthari covered their ear holes. The Drummond Shadow Hunter, behind its containment field, turned toward the sound with sudden attention. Tejo floated back down to the floor. He walked toward Hannah calmly. Hannah, I told you to wait. No. I am hungry. I am tired. I want to go home. Her voice was getting louder. The acoustic systems of the arena amplified it further. Tejo saw aliens pressing their appendages to their heads. Malik stepped closer to the human section. He was studying Hannah with intense focus. The frequency, he said quietly. It is affecting the psychic predator. Tejo turned. Behind its containment field, the Kalori brain creature was pulsing faster. Its tentacles were twitching. It was trying to broadcast fear, but something was interfering. Human emotional output is very strong, Dr. Park said. She had moved next to Malik, especially in children. Their feelings are pure and unfiltered. They broadcast without control. She is overwhelming it, Malik whispered. A child is overwhelming a psychic predator designed to kill. Hannah was crying now. Real tears ran down her face. She stamped her foot on the ground. I want my bunny. Where is my bunny? She had left her stuffed rabbit on the ship. Tejo knew this tantrum was just beginning. Ambassador Vrek stepped back as Hannah's cries grew louder. His gray face looked uncertain. Make it stop, he said. I cannot make it stop, Tejo said calmly. No one can make it stop. She will stop when she is ready. But the sound, this is what we live with, Tejo said. Every day. For years. And we do not break. The acid serpent was hissing louder now, agitated by the noise. The shadow hunter had become fully visible, unable to concentrate on its invisibility. Every predator in the arena was reacting to one small human child. Malik looked at Tejo with new eyes. Not with mockery, with something closer to fear. How do you survive them? He asked. Tejo smiled. It was the tired smile of every parent in the galaxy who had ever faced a tantrum and lived to tell the story. We love them, he said simply. That is the human way. In her section, Hannah threw herself onto the ground and began to kick. Her screams reached a new pitch. The entire arena seemed to vibrate. The display had only just begun. Hannah's screams filled the arena like a storm. She lay on the ground, her small body rigid with rage. Her feet kicked the air. Her fists pounded the floor. Tears and snot covered her face. I want to go home. I hate this place. I hate everyone. The words came out between sobs. Each cry was louder than the last. The acoustic systems of the arena had been designed to carry speeches and announcements. Now they carried the full force of a 3-year-old's tantrum to every corner of the massive space. Captain Yun Tejo stood a few meters away from his daughter. His hands were relaxed at his sides. His face showed no stress. He had seen this before. He had seen worse. In the seats above, thousands of aliens watched with horror. The Valkyrie covered their sensitive earholes with all four hands. The Draman made clicking sounds of distress. Even the Kalori, known for their mental discipline, shifted uncomfortably. But the real chaos was happening with the predators. The psychic brain creature in the Kalori containment field was spinning wildly. Its tentacles whipped in every direction. The soft glow that usually surrounded it had turned bright red. It was trying to broadcast fear into the arena. That was its purpose. That was what it did. But Hannah's emotional output was stronger. The creature could not process what it was receiving. A human toddler's feelings were too raw, too powerful, too completely without filter. Joy and rage and sadness and hunger and tiredness all mixed together into one overwhelming wave. The psychic predator had never experienced anything like it. With a sound like breaking glass, the containment field flickered. Then it failed. The brain creature floated free. It shot upward toward the ceiling, its tentacles reaching outward. Panic spread through the arena. Aliens screamed and ran for the exits. "The field is down," someone shouted. "It is loose. Run." But running was the wrong choice. The psychic predator fed on fear. The more the aliens panicked, the stronger it became. It began broadcasting waves of terror. Beings collapsed in the seats, clutching their heads. Others froze, unable to move. The Valkyrie acid serpent felt the waves of fear. It hissed and threw itself against its containment field. The energy crackled and bent. The Draman shadow hunter flickered rapidly between visible and invisible. It was confused, agitated. It slammed its 6 legs against the floor of its enclosure. Only the humans seemed unaffected. Dr. Park. Yumbai stood beside historian Moloch, who had fallen to his knees. The Kalori scholar was shaking, his large eyes wide with horror. "The fear," Moloch gasped. "I cannot. It is too strong." "Focus on my voice," Dr. Park said calmly. "Listen to me. Only to me. How are you? How are you standing?" Dr. Park helped him to his feet. Human parents develop resistance. We experience intense emotional broadcasts from our children every day. Our brains learn to filter. On the arena floor, Hana was still screaming. She had not noticed the chaos around her. She did not care about the escaped predator or the panicking aliens. She only knew that she was hungry and tired and wanted her stuffed rabbit. "I want Bunny!" "Give me Bunny." "Bunny, Bunny, Bunny!" The psychic predator turned toward her. It sensed the strongest emotional source in the arena. It floated lower, its tentacles reaching toward the small human child. Teho moved. He did not run. He did not panic. He simply walked between his daughter and the creature. His body blocked its path. His eyes locked onto its pulsing form. "No," he said quietly. The creature stopped. It could feel Teho's mind. It tried to push fear into him. It tried to make him freeze or run or collapse. Teho felt the pressure. It was like a hand squeezing his brain. Cold terror tried to crawl up his spine. Images of death and darkness flooded his thoughts. He remembered the first night Hana was born. She had cried for 6 hours without stopping. Teho had not slept. He had not eaten. He had held her and walked around the room until his legs ached. He remembered the time she had a fever. Her temperature was dangerously high. The hospital was far away. Teho had driven through a storm, his heart pounding, his mind racing with terrible possibilities. He remembered every nightmare she had ever had, every tantrum, every moment of chaos and fear and exhaustion, and he was still here, still standing, still calm. The psychic predator could not understand. This human was afraid. It could feel that. But the fear did not control him. He had learned to function with fear. He had learned to act despite terror. He had been trained by something the creature could not imagine. He had been trained by parenthood. "You cannot break me," Taeho said softly. "I have faced worse than you." Every single night. The creature hesitated. Its tentacles pulled back slightly. Behind Taeho, Hana's screams began to change. The rage was fading. Exhaustion was taking over. Her kicks became slower. Her voice became softer. "Daddy, Daddy." She was calling for him. Even in her tantrum, even in her chaos, she was calling for her father. Taeho did not turn away from the creature. He spoke over his shoulder, his voice warm and gentle. "I am here, Hana. Daddy is here. I want. Her voice broke into sobs. Tired sobs. The tantrum was ending. The psychic predator felt the change. The overwhelming emotional wave was receding. Without that chaos to hide behind, it was exposed. Vulnerable. Moloch stepped forward. He had recovered enough to stand. "Capture team," he called out. "Now!" While it is weak. Kalori guards rushed onto the arena floor with special equipment. They surrounded the brain creature and activated a new containment field. Within seconds, it was trapped again. The arena slowly grew quieter. The acid serpent stopped throwing itself against its cage. The shadow hunter became still. The panic in the seats began to fade, but no one was looking at the recaptured predator. They were all looking at Taeho. He had turned around and knelt beside Hana. She was sitting on the ground now, hiccuping softly. Her face was red and wet. She looked exhausted. "Hey there," Taeho said softly. "Are you done?" Hana nodded weakly. "Do you want a hug?" She nodded again. Taeho picked her up and held her against his chest. She wrapped her arms around his neck and buried her face in his shoulder. "Daddy's here," he whispered. "Everything is okay." Ambassador Vrek stood at the edge of the arena floor. His forearms hung limply at his sides. His mouth was open. He did not run, Vrek said. The creature was right there. It was attacking his mind. And he did not run. He could not run, Dr. Park said. She walked toward them, her tablet in hand. His child needed him. Human parents do not abandon their children. Not for any danger. Not for any fear. Moloch was writing rapidly on his device. His large eyes moved between Hana and Taeho with intense focus. "This changes everything," the historian muttered. "Everything we believed about humans. Everything we assumed about their weakness." In the seats above, the aliens were whispering to each other. The laughter was gone. The mockery was gone. They had watched a human stand calmly before a psychic predator. They had watched him speak softly to a screaming child while death floated behind him. They did not understand it, but they respected it. Hana yawned against Taeho's shoulder. Her eyes were closing. "Hungry daddy," she murmured. Tae-Ho reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small package of crackers. Emergency snacks. Every parent carried them. "Here you go, baby." Hana took the crackers and began eating. Her breathing slowed. The last traces of the tantrum faded away. The most dangerous predator in the arena was quiet now. But everyone remembered what she could do. Everyone remembered the chaos she had created. And everyone wondered, if a human child could do this, what could an adult human do when truly angry? The thought hung in the air like a warning. 3 days had passed since the Apex display. 3 days since a human toddler had thrown a tantrum so powerful that it shook the foundations of galactic understanding. The Nexus station was still buzzing with the story. Captain Yoon Taeho walked into the council chamber with his head held high. He wore his formal uniform now. His boots were polished. His medal shone on his chest. He looked every bit the professional diplomat. Beside him, Hana walked on her own 2 feet. She wore a clean blue dress. Her hair was brushed and tied with ribbons. She held her stuffed rabbit tightly. The the same one that had been brought from the ship after the incident. The chamber was massive. Hundreds of representatives sat in floating platforms arranged in a giant circle. In the center was a speaking area where important announcements were made. Today, humanity would learn its fate. The high speaker was a being made of living crystal. Its body chimed as it moved. Its voice echoed through the chamber like bells. We are gathered to discuss the future of humanity's membership in the Galactic Council, the high speaker announced. The events of the Apex display have raised many questions. Tejo felt Haas squeeze his hand. She was being very good today. She had slept well. She had eaten breakfast. She was calm and quiet. That almost worried him more. Representative of Earth, the high speaker continued. You may address the council. Tejo nodded. He walked to the speaking area. A floating platform carried him upward so everyone could see. Honored council members, he began. 3 days ago, you witnessed something unprecedented. You saw a human child. You saw what she could do. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many of you were frightened. Some of you were injured. The psychic predator was affected so strongly that it broke free. The acid serpent escaped its containment. Tejo paused. All of this was caused by one 3-year-old girl who missed her nap and wanted breakfast. The murmurs grew louder. We did not plan for this. We intended to bring a saltwater crocodile. A simple predator. Easy to understand. Tejo smiled slightly. But perhaps it is better that things happen this way. Perhaps now you understand humanity better than you would have otherwise. Ambassador Vrek rose from his platform. He had been quiet since the incident. Now he spoke slowly. Captain Yoon, you saved my life during the chaos. Your species showed courage I did not expect. I wish to formally withdraw my objections to human membership. Tejo bowed his head in thanks. Historian Moloch rose next. The Kalori scholar had been busy these past 3 days. I have completed my analysis of the event, Moloch said. I would like to share my findings with the council. The high speaker chimed in agreement. Moloch activated a display. Images and data appeared in the air around the chamber. Humans are not physically impressive, Moloch began. They have no claws, no armor, no venom. Compared to most apex predators, they appear weak. He changed the display. But humans are pursuit predators. They evolved to chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They can run for hours without stopping. They can function on little sleep for extended periods. They can survive injuries that would kill most species. He changed the display again. Most importantly, they have developed psychological resilience that exceeds any species in the council. This resilience comes from their child-rearing practices. Images of human families appeared. Parents carrying children. Parents feeding children. Parents comforting crying babies. Human offspring require more care than any other known young, Moloch continued. They are helpless for years. They demand constant attention. They produce emotional output strong enough to affect psychic creatures. The display showed measurements from the Apex display. Graphs and numbers that showed exactly how powerful Hana's tantrum had been. To survive this, human adults develop immunity to psychological warfare, Moloch said. They learn to function through chaos. They learn to remain calm in impossible situations. They learn to face any threat if it means protecting their young. He turned to look at Tejo. This is not weakness. This is the ultimate evolutionary advantage. Humans are not dangerous because of what they carry. They are dangerous because of what they are. Moloch sat down. The chamber was silent. The high speaker chimed softly. Does any member wish to speak against human membership? No one moved. Then the council will vote. The vote was quick. Platform after platform lit up green. Support for humanity. Full membership. When the count was complete, the high speaker announced the result. Humanity is granted full and permanent membership in the Galactic Council. All rights and protections apply effective immediately. Taeho felt tears in his eyes. He blinked them away. 3 years of work. 3 years of proving humanity's worth. And it was finally done. He floated back down to the floor. Hannah was waiting for him. She ran forward and hugged his legs. "Daddy, did we win?" Taeho picked her up. "Yes, baby. We won. Good. Can we go home now?" He laughed. Soon, very soon. Dr. Park approached with a wide smile. "Congratulations, Captain. You did it. We all did it." Taeho looked around the chamber. Aliens were watching him. Some with respect. Some with fear. Some with simple curiosity. Ambassador Vrek walked toward them. The tall Velthary stopped a careful distance from Hana. "I have a question," Vrek said. "One that has bothered me since the display." "Ask." "You said the child was in a phase called—" Vrek struggled with the words. "The Terrible Twos?" "Yes, and Dr. Park said she was almost 3. Taeho nodded. Vrek's face was very serious. "What comes after the Terrible Twos?" Taeho and Dr. Park looked at each other. Something passed between them. A shared understanding. A shared horror. "Srinager," Dr. Park said quietly. "What does that mean?" Dr. Park took a breath. "It means she will want to do everything herself. She will have opinions about everything. She will ask why constantly. She will refuse to cooperate in new and creative ways. And she will have even more energy than before." Vrek's gray face went pale, and after that, he asked weakly. "4 is a little better," Taeho said. "Then comes 5, when they learn to argue. Then 6 and 7, when they never stop talking. Then 8 and 9, when they think they know everything. Then the teenage years. What happens in the teenage years?" Taeho's smile faded. His eyes became distant. The expression of a soldier remembering a war. "We do not speak of the teenage years," he said quietly. Vrek took a step backward. "I see. I think the Velthary will not be bothering humanity for a very long time. That would be wise." Hannah tugged at Taeho's shirt. "Daddy, that gray man looks scared." "He's just being careful, baby." "Why?" "Because he is smart." Hannah thought about this. Then she waved at Vrek. "Bye-bye, gray man." Vrek flinched, but he waved back with one of his 4 hands. As Taeho carried Hana out of the chamber, he thought about what had happened. Humanity had come to this station with a dead crocodile and a cranky toddler. They were leaving as full members of the Galactic Council, all because of a tantrum. He kissed Hana's forehead. She giggled. "You are my favorite apex predator," he whispered. "I am not a predator," she said. "I am Hannah." "Yes, you are." They walked back toward their ship. Behind them, the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. Humans were not the biggest species, not the strongest, not the most advanced. But they had proven something far more important: they could survive anything. They could love through chaos. They could face the worst the universe had to offer and still smile, because they were parents, and there was nothing in the galaxy more terrifying than that. The arena was still recovering. Kalori guards worked to strengthen the containment fields. Medical teams helped aliens who had collapsed from the psychic attack. The air smelled of fear and confusion, but Captain Yoon Tae-ho noticed none of this. He stood in the center of the floor, holding Hana in his arms. She was eating crackers slowly, her head resting on his shoulder. Her eyes were half closed. The Velthary containment field flickered. Taeho saw it happen. The energy wall that held the acid serpent dimmed for just a moment. The chaos from the psychic predator's escape had damaged more than one system. The serpent saw its chance. It threw its massive body against the weakened field, the barrier, Shattered. 12 meters of black-scaled fury exploded onto the arena floor. The serpent's mouth opened wide. Yellow acid dripped from its fangs, burning holes in the metal beneath it. Its eyes locked onto the nearest target. Ambassador Vrek. The Velthari diplomat stood frozen. His forearms pressed against his sides. His sharp teeth chattered with terror. He was too afraid to move. "Help me!" he screamed. "Someone help?" But no one moved. The guards were too far away. The other diplomats were running in the opposite direction. The serpent slithered toward Vrek with horrible speed. Tay-Ho made a decision. He shifted Hana to his hip, holding her with one arm. Then he walked toward the serpent. Dr. Park shouted from across the arena. "Captain, what are you doing?" Tay-Ho did not answer. He kept walking. His steps were calm and steady. His face showed no fear. The serpent stopped. Its head turned toward this new movement. It saw a human walking directly toward it. Walking, not running. Approaching, not fleeing. This was wrong. Prey was supposed to run. Prey was supposed to freeze with fear. This creature was doing neither. Tay-Ho stopped 5 meters from the serpent. He stared directly into its eyes. "Move," he said. His voice was quiet but firm. The serpent hissed. Acid sprayed from its mouth. The droplets hit the floor just in front of Tay-Ho's feet. The metal bubbled and melted. Tay-Ho did not step back. "Daddy, big snake," Hana said sleepily. She did not sound afraid. She sounded tired. "Yes, baby. Big snake. It is ugly. A little bit, yes." The serpent's head weaved back and forth. It was confused. Every instinct told it this should be easy prey. Two soft creatures with no claws, no armor, no venom. And yet something was wrong. Tay-Ho's heart was pounding. He could feel sweat on his back. The acid could kill him in seconds. One bite, one spray, and he would be dead. Hana would be dead. But he had learned something as a parent. Predators and children could both sense fear. If you showed weakness to a tantruming toddler, they would push harder. They would test every limit. They would never stop. The same was true for serpents. "You do not scare me," Tay-Ho said. He took a step forward. The serpent pulled back. Just slightly. Just enough. It was uncertain now. This prey creature was not acting like prey. It was acting like a threat. Like something that should not be challenged. Hana yawned. She reached out toward the serpent with one small hand. "Pretty colors," she said. The serpent looked at the tiny human child. It saw no fear in her eyes. It saw no recognition of danger. The child was looking at a 12-meter apex predator like it was a new toy to examine. "Hana, do not touch," Tay-Ho said gently. "Okay, Daddy." She pulled her hand back and continued eating her crackers. Behind the serpent, Ambassador Vrek was still frozen. But now he was watching a human father stand calmly before certain death. Watching a human child show no fear of the most deadly creature on the Velthari homeworld. "How?" Vrek whispered. "How are they not afraid?" Historian Moloch had crept closer. He stayed behind a support pillar, but his eyes never left the scene. "I think I understand now," Moloch said quietly. "It is not that they feel no fear. Look at the father. His muscles are tense. His pupils are dilated. He is terrified. Then why does he not run? Because he has trained himself to function through fear. Human parents do this every day." Moloch's voice was filled with wonder. When their child is sick, they act calmly despite their terror. When danger threatens, they move toward it to protect their young. They do not freeze. They cannot afford to freeze. Tay-Ho took another step toward the serpent. The creature hissed again. But it did not attack. Instead, it began to slither backward, slowly, carefully. It was retreating from this strange prey that would not behave correctly. "Good," Taeho said softly. "Go back to your cage. Everything is fine." The serpent continued backing away. Step by step, it returned to its broken containment area. Guards rushed forward with emergency equipment. A new barrier hummed to life. The serpent was trapped once more. Taeho let out a long breath. His legs were shaking now, but he did not let anyone see. Ambassador Vrek walked toward him with unsteady steps. The tall Velthary's gray face was pale. His forehands trembled. "You saved my life," Vrek said. "I mocked you. I called your species weak. And you saved my life." Taeho shrugged with one shoulder. "You were in danger. That is what humans do. But why? I was cruel to you. I laughed at your child." Hana looked up at Vrek. Her face was smeared with cracker crumbs. "You are gray," she said. Vrek blinked. "Yes, I am gray. I like blue better." Taeho smiled. "She is very honest." Vrek stared at the small human child. 3 years old. Unable to walk alone in the station. Unable to feed herself properly. Covered in food and tears and snot. And yet she had caused more chaos in this arena than any apex predator. Her emotional output had overwhelmed a psychic creature. Her screams had panicked dozens of species. Her tantrum had indirectly caused the serpent's escape. "How do you survive them?" Vrek asked. It was the same question Moloch had asked. It seemed to be the only question any alien could think of. Taeho looked at his daughter. She had finished her crackers. Her eyes were fully closed now. She was falling asleep against his shoulder, her small fingers clutching his shirt. "We love them," he said again. "We love them more than we fear anything else. And that love makes us stronger than any predator in the galaxy." Vrek was silent for a long moment. "I think," he said slowly, "that I have misjudged humanity." Moloch approached now. His device was still recording. "Captain Yoon," the historian said, "may I ask you something?" "Of course." "When your child was screaming, when the psychic predator was loose, when the serpent was free, you never lost your patience. You never raised your voice. You never stopped thinking clearly." Moloch paused. "How was that possible?" Taeho thought about the question. He thought about all the nights he had spent pacing the floor with a crying baby. He thought about all the meals he had eaten cold because Hana needed something. He thought about all the sleep he had lost, all the patience he had found, all the love he had given. "Practice," he said finally. "Years and years of practice." In the seats above, the remaining aliens watched the human father hold his sleeping child. They watched him stroke her hair and whisper soft words to her. They watched the most dangerous creature in the arena become peaceful in his arms, and they began to understand. Humans were not weak. They were not prey. They were something far more terrifying. They were creatures who could function through any chaos, who could face any fear, who could love something that screamed at them and still call it precious. The apex display was over, but the lessons it taught would last forever. Taeho looked down at Hana's sleeping face. "Let us go back to the ship," he said quietly. "I think she needs a real map." Dr. Park walked beside him as they left the arena. Thousands of alien eyes followed them. "That was incredible," she said. "That was Tuesday," Taeho replied. Dr. Park laughed. But she knew he was not joking. For human parents, that level of chaos was just a normal day.